Today we're going to be discussing Constellation Energy Corporation, who they are, what they do, and their marketing plan. So Constellation is the nation's largest producer of reliable, emissions-free energy. Now this is important because we're going to see a rise in demand for this type of energy between decarbonization policies and just a rise in demand for electricity in general. Now, the main idea of this marketing plan is that the company is going to want to leverage their leadership in reliability and sustainability in order to pursue growth. And they're going to want to position themselves as a long-term energy partner for large organizations. So the company sells electricity, gas, and sustainability solutions to over 1.5 million customers. Now, customer base is primarily made up of large commercial and industrial companies, many Fortune 500 companies in there. Because of this, their strategy really emphasizes reliability, scale, and strong relationships. They focus on long-term contracts. They're not really advertising too much. They're not putting ads out on TV that the average Joe is going to see and then call Constellation and say, I want your nuclear energy. It's more to businesses, and they focus on long-term contracts. So recently, government policies have become pretty supportive of nuclear energy. This includes tax credits for clean energy producers. So this is good for Constellation as a major producer of nuclear and clean energy. The demand for electricity continues to rise. This is due to electrification and data center growth. I know now they're saying that companies like Google, who are trying to use all these data centers, are going to have to create their own nuclear energy facilities, so that could affect this a little bit, but in general, need for electricity and clean electricity is growing. Now, new tech and tools allow companies to track emissions and manage their use more effectively, so Constellation has applied this to their sustainability services along with consultation. So all of these factors really make it a very lucrative business to be in for companies that can produce reliable, emissions-free energy at a large scale. So the two main competitors for Constellation are NRG and NextEra Energy. NRG, they focus on retail electricity and smart home services. NextEra emphasizes renewable energy like wind and solar. Now, Constellation is able to differentiate themselves through their large-scale nuclear production, and this is important because it provides continuous baseload power. Wind and solar, a lot of people preferred them in the past because they don't seem very dangerous. Like nuclear has a bad reputation, but in terms of reliability and just the continuous baseload power, nuclear is clearly the best. The challenge is going to be maintaining this differentiation as renewable energy becomes more and more competitive. So the SWOT analysis highlighted a number of key factors affecting Constellation. First of all, the major strengths. As we said, the nation's largest producer of emissions-free energy. They have really strong customer relationships, extremely high customer retention rates, and their offering of digital sustainability tools. Now their weaknesses, they're very reliant on their nuclear arsenal. Not that they have nukes, but their nuclear production, they're very reliant on that, and they have really high capital costs. Some of the opportunities that they can pursue, there's going to be a growing demand for electricity, as we discussed, especially the emissions-free electricity, and they can expand on their digital energy management services, those digital sustainability tools. Now, some of the threats, there's going to be regulatory challenges, as with any large-scale energy producer. Now there's going to be, like we said before in the previous slide, there's going to be more and more competition in the renewable sector and supply chain disruptions. Constellation's competitive advantage comes from combining their reliable baseload power with their measurable sustainability solutions. There's many companies that can provide renewable energy, but there's very few that can provide continuous carbon-free energy at the scale that Constellation does. The strategic focus for for the marketing plan is going to be aggressive growth in clean energy markets. And Constellation should really position themselves as a long-term strategic partner for big companies rather than just a commodity electricity supplier for them. The core customers are large commercial, industrial, and public sector organizations. These guys prioritize reliability, price stability, and sustainability reporting. For them, it's not just a cost decision, it's a strategic decision. The future growth opportunities, two main ones: AI data centers and electrification focused manufacturing. These two require massive amounts of reliable electricity, which puts Constellation in a great position to provide for them because that's what we do, or they do, not me. The first marketing goal is to strengthen leadership as a provider of reliable, emissions-free energy. One objective is increasing multi-year contracts by 15% within 2 years. Another objective is increasing adoption of sustainability and emissions tracking tools among major customers. The second goal is expanding relationships with high growth industries like data centers and advanced manufacturing. We want to secure 10 new long term agreements with data centers and electrification focused manufacturers. So, the marketing strategy, it focuses on positioning electricity as a bundled solution rather than a commodity. Constellation should combine clean energy supply with sustainability reporting and energy management solutions. In terms of pricing, they should focus on long-term contract stability instead of short-term discounts. And then in terms of promotion, they should focus on personal selling, account-based marketing, and thought leadership instead of just a ton of advertising. So how are they going to implement this? Well, first of all, they need to focus on enhancing bundled sustainability services, improving emissions tracking tools, and they need to expand their enterprise sales teams. They should also introduce a data center reliability package designed specifically for the high energy customers. And then finally, they should focus on doing some account-based marketing campaigns and executive level briefings because this will help build long-term relationships with the key clients. So to ensure that the strategy is successful, Constellation will use input, process, and output controls. The key performance indicators are going to be growth in long-term contracts, customer retention, which we mentioned is already very high, but to get it to that next level, and adoption of the sustainability services. The quarterly reviews and annual marketing audits will be used to track progress, and if they end up showing that the performance is poor, then Constellation will adjust the tactics. So bottom line, Constellation's biggest advantage is their reliability and their scale. As we mentioned at the beginning, the nation's largest producer of reliable emissions-free energy. First of all, they need to focus on locking down their base, securing even more long-term contracts with these large commercial and industrial consumers. Then they can focus on picking up some new customers, data centers, electrification, heavy industries, those will be key. Then they need to look to expand their sustainability services. This will help them to differentiate. And I'll leave you with this. Long-term contracts and operational discipline are going to continue to make or break Constellation Energy Corporation.